Hey people, welcome to the second part of my series on the basics of foot technique. You don't have to watch these videos in order. You can also choose the topics that interest you the most. You can find the link to the whole playlist in the description and also use the chapter function. In the last video, we looked at the simplest motion of the foot, the heel down technique. Today, it's about the counterpart, the heel up technique. I want to show you how it works, help you to avoid typical mistakes and give you specific exercises and tips. If you still have problems with it, then write me in the comments, or better yet, send me a short video by email or via one of my social media channels. At the end of this series, there will be a video in which I answer all your questions. As in the first video, you are welcome to participate directly on the drums or on the practice pad. And stop the video if you want to try something so that you are more active and internalize everything better. A huge help is if you have a mirror to see the movement from the side and correct yourself or compare with my demonstration. So let's get started right away. With the heel down movement, the heel stays on the ground the whole time and you make a stroke by swinging back slightly and then simply giving a short impulse from your ankle, from your calf muscle, with the sole always staying on the pedal. The movement of your foot is therefore transmitted directly to the beater or the hi-hat. And here is the big difference to the heel up technique. Since we are raising the heel and there are now multiple joints involved, namely the hip, the knee, ankle and even toe joints, our movement is not directly related to that of the pedal. Just like with the hands. We make a movement of the arm, hand and fingers that results in a movement of the stick. But they are not uniform. That wouldn't even make sense because it would be inefficient. And so with the heel up technique, the movement of the leg and that of the mallet are not uniform, but we give an input through our movement into the pedal, which results in one or even several beats of the beater. It's a bit more complex, a bit more demanding, but at the same time very effective, and you have many more possibilities with it than with the heel down technique. And now I'm going to show you exactly how it all works. In the first part I mentioned that you can press the beater into the head or let it jump back. I'll show you both variants and tell you the advantages and disadvantages. I would recommend you try playing out of the kick drum as it gives you more options in the long run and puts less stress on your pedal and drum head. The first exercise looks like this. Place your foot on the pedal, not all the way forward, but so that the ball of your foot is roughly in the middle of the foot plate. Now lift your knee, but let your ankle loose so that the tip or the ball of your foot stays on the pedal. For this we need the hip flexors in addition to the abdominal muscles for stabilization. You can try to tense it consciously and thereby move the knee upward. Make sure you stay sitting straight. Now just move your knee and thus your heel up and down without making a stroke for now. This is the basic movement. Do this a few times with both legs to get used to it. You can see that the beater doesn't move much. It doesn't go all the way back, but it's not quite on the head either. Now if we just drop the knee, we hit the ground with the heel and no sound comes out. Now, how do we get the energy to the pedal? For that, let's take a look at this in slow motion. You can see that the moment the knee drops, the beater swings all the way back and then hits the head with a lot of momentum. That's because at the apex, as the heel goes down, I lift the toe a little bit so that the pedal comes towards me. I then use this lever, tense my calf very briefly at the last moment and bring all the energy into the stroke. Then I immediately relax and roll my foot backwards so that the beater can spring back into the starting position. Although it looks from the outside as if we are only rolling our foot over the pedal, it is actually a kind of whipping motion, just like a stroke with the stick. It is important that the foot never completely loses contact with the foot plate. After all, you don't let go of the stick between hits or put it aside. We always want to be in control of the pedal and, through contact, also have sensory feedback on where it is and how it's moving. Try this a few times, also alternating with both feet. Pull the knee up in a controlled manner, Discharge the energy at the top and then let the leg fall with a slightly tense ankle and then roll the foot backwards so you land in the starting position. A very important tip: the interaction of the muscles is too fast and too complex for you to be able to consciously control it. Instead, look at the beta head. Does it swing back in the last moment and easily bounce back to the starting position after the hit? If not, try to achieve that exact result. Your body will then train the movement in the most efficient way for you if you look at the result and not the implementation. Why do we need this complex movement at all? To play as efficiently as possible. Otherwise, you would compensate for it with force and press tightly into the head. In this variant, the beta goes backwards over the apex. This stores energy in the spring, which you can use in addition to the energy from the leg. Kind of like throwing a ball, where instead of just thrusting forward, you pull your arm back and use the stretch to store extra power like a bowstring, which you then just have to let go of. Another common mistake is raising and lowering your leg, but still making the strokes from your ankle, like with a heel down motion. The movement from the foot is mostly passive here. The power comes from the big muscles, from the whole leg. Anything else would be a waste of energy and far too exhausting. And another tip: if you drop your leg and slightly tighten your calf, push forward a little bit so that the direction of your force is exactly at 90 degrees angle to the pedal. Because if you only move down, you would slide backwards a little with every wind-up and eventually you would be at the end of the pedal. If you look closely, you can see that my foot doesn't stay in the exact same spot, but slides a little over the pedal. That's how it should be. After all, the sticks should lie loosely in your hand and not remain stuck in the same place. They are both dynamic concepts. However, if you slide further forward with each stroke, you are pushing your foot too far forward. To avoid that, increase the downward pressure on the ball of the foot. Or maybe you're just sitting too close to the drum set, another common mistake. So move the stool a bit backwards, or if possible, just the bass drum or hi-hat a bit away from you. When you press the beta into the head, the movement looks exactly the same, only the beginning and end are different. You support yourself on the pedal and now not only lift your knee out of the hip flexor, but mostly the calf pushes the leg up with momentum. Then, the same thing, at the apex the beta snaps back, the ankle tightens, but this time it stays tight and you keep pressure on the pedal with the ball of your foot and press the beta into the head. Try this variant a few times until you get used to it. If you do this on the hi-hat too, you'll find that you can produce a nice, clear, short tone like this. So here I would recommend you to play with this tension. However, if you also want to play double kick drum, you should be able to play out of the head with your second foot as well. We can play pretty hard as it is with this technique, but for extra loud strokes, we can throw in a little more energy through the two muscle groups that extend the leg downward, the glutes and the quadriceps. You can feel this very simply by placing your foot on the pedal and now imagine that you want to push the pedal away from you. You'll notice that you're tensing your glutes and front thighs as well as your calves. If you now give a short impulse from these muscle groups when making a stroke, you can play even louder. In order not to fall backwards, you should bend forward slightly to compensate. Now compare the two variants yourself. Play a few beats into the bass drum and let the beta jump back a few times. The kick drum doesn't have as much of a tonal difference as the hi-hat, but it definitely feels different. But remember that you have to get used to it. The advantages or disadvantages only often become apparent after a certain period of time. I would recommend you get both to the point where you can control them. So play the exercises you're doing right now anyway for a few days by pressing into the head and for a few days by letting the beater bounce back. The advantages of burying the beater are that you have a fixed anchor point for balance, the beater doesn't bounce back and make unwanted sounds, and you can play very loud without much effort. The disadvantages are that it doesn't let you play as fast and doesn't challenge your balance, which we need for other techniques and the double bass drum, and that the heads can tear more easily. In contrast to the heel down variant, there is no danger of beater flutter here because the weight of the leg dampens it. But if you have a bass drum that is tuned a little higher and not dampened as much, it doesn't sound as good because you choke it. It's as if you were pressing the stick into the head. That doesn't sound nice, especially on higher tuned drums. The advantages of letting the beater bounce back are, of course, that you go easy on the drum head, you can get a better sound, and prepare yourself for techniques where we have to play out of the head anyway. For example, if we play faster. However, you cannot play quite as loud as with the other variation, so if you want to have the power and persuasion of drummers like AC/DC's Phil Rudd, then I would definitely recommend burying the beater in the head. For everything else, you should be able to exploit the rebound as well. Now I'd like to do a little survey because I'm really interested in how many of you prefer to play in the bass drum and how many out of the bass drum. So let me know in the comments which version you prefer and why. But no matter which version you choose, don't overstrain yourself. At first, practice these techniques for no more than 10 or at most 20 minutes a day. Give your body time to get used to the new movements. If anything hurts, stop, take a break, relax, and then continue. If the pain comes back, take a day off, and if it's still there, then something is wrong. Analyze your technique very carefully again, whether you cramp somewhere, whether you are moving in the end position of a joint, and if in doubt, go to the doctor. Also, keep in mind that general fitness can help you learn new things because you'll be better able to buffer everything. Here especially, in addition to the muscles in the leg and the hip flexor, also your core muscles, abs and back muscles. Those are very important. So a general core training can support your playing a lot. By the way, this is not irrelevant because if you also want to play double bass drum or generally faster and louder, such fitness training is essential because the drums can be quite physically demanding, not only during transport. And if you're fitter, you can handle it better and learn faster because you can practice for a longer period of time before getting exhausted. Speaking of faster, that's what the next video is about. How we can play faster with the heel up technique. We've just looked at individual strokes. In the next part, we'll play continuously and see how we can really get our speed up. I hope this video helped you on your personal way. If so, then please be so honest and think about what it's worth to you and put something in the donation box. You can find the link in the description. See you on the next one. Until then, take care and bye-bye.